Today we'll be reading and listening to a story shared by Claire, a young Aboriginal student, and her grandfather. The stories he tells help Claire to see the connection between herself, her grandfather, and her personal identity and values. This story highlights many of the inventions and contributions that have been made by Canada's First Nations people, including hockey, lacrosse, the kayak, and many others. Stories from our past help us to understand more about ourselves. We may not know or realize why we do things a certain way, dress a certain way, or eat a certain way until we understand where we have come from and the traditions that have been passed down from generation to generation. Here's the story. I'll be reading it in about 3 parts. Claire and her grandfather. It was about the time when the leaves were turning color when our teacher, Ms. Okatsiak, told us what we would do next week in school. Canada is made up of people from every country in the world, she said. They brought with them different things that make Canada what it is today. I was born in what we now call the territory of Nunavut, and my people are Inuit. Inuit are one of the first peoples who lived in what we now call Canada. Next week, I want each of you to tell a class about where your family came from and what your people have given to Canada. Later at recess, I asked Paul Lambert where his family came from. Paul said, I know that my grandparents on my mom's side are from Ireland. My dad's family came from France a long time ago. What about you, Claire? My people are Odawa, I said. Ottawa? Asked Paul. It's a city, not a country. I didn't know what to say. Everybody knows Ottawa is a city, but I didn't know how to explain that it was also the name of my people. Later, at dinner, I told my mom and dad about what we had to tell a class next week and about Paul saying that Ottawa is a city, not the name of a people. Mom smiled and said, I think we need to call grandfather. Grandfather is one of my favorite people. He has white hair, lots of wrinkles, and is always interested in what I'm doing. Dad said grandfather's wrinkles are from all smiling because he's always so happy. Mom said that many people like to talk with grandfather because he's also very wise. When grandfather came over, I told him what my teacher said, and I told him what Paul had said about the city called Ottawa. You, Claire Whitelock, are of the Odawa, grandfather told me. The Odawa are one of the First Nations who live in the eastern part of the land that is now Canada. First Nations and Inuit are the Aboriginal people who were here long before pioneers came to this country. Sit down, Claire, said grandfather. Let me show you something about Canada. Grandfather laid out a large map of Canada that showed all the provinces, territories, and cities. As I looked at the map, grandfather pointed to places with Aboriginal names. When Europeans first came to Canada, First Nations and Inuit often helped them travel through the land and showed them the way. Settlers sometimes gave towns and rivers the names of places they had known in Europe. But at other times, they would ask Aboriginal people what their names were for these places. We would tell them. Can you find places on the map of Canada that still have their Aboriginal names? I found many Aboriginal names of places like Kamloops, Saskatchewan, Toronto, Quebec, Maniwaki, Oromothko, Iqaluit, and Nunavut. Sometimes the new settlers translated our names from places into English or French. Can you find any of these translated names? Grandfather asked. I looked carefully at the map. I found Rivière de Loup, Medicine Hat, and Moose Jaw. Good, said grandfather. Then he told me. The name Canada is a First Nations word. It comes from the word Kanata, which means village in the Mohawk and Huron languages. I'm sure that when you start looking, you will see many places that show the contributions that Aboriginal people made to the map of Canada as it is today. So to see how the name of our country came about, watch the following video to see what happened. You can just copy and paste this YouTube video into a search engine. And here's what Claire's grandfather and Claire were talking about. You can see the numbers are the same as the numbers above. So Kamloops is number 1. That's in BC. You might have been there yourself. It's in the middle, sort of in the middle of BC, down towards the Okanagan. Number 2, Medicine Hat. That's in Alberta. Number 3, Moose Jaw. That's Saskatchewan. And that's a very funny name, too. I wonder if there's a lot of moose around there. Number 4, Toronto is the capital city of Ontario. You can see Ontario is that big area right there. And right at the bottom is Toronto, right near all this bottom part here. That's the border with the United States. And number 4 is right not far away from the border there. Number 5 in Quebec is Maniwaki. That's definitely a native name. And then Quebec City, number 6, is right on the St. Lawrence River, near the St. Lawrence River. And it's in Quebec too. And number 7, Rivière-du-Loup. So you can see it's right across the St. Lawrence River, right from there. And then we have number 8, Oromontco. That's in New Brunswick, I believe. And finally, Iqaluit at the very top. A little hard to find, but it's the capital city of Nunavut, which is this territory that comes across up there. The territory right here, that's the Northwest Territories. And on the very far left is the Yukon Territories. So today, if you want, take this map, fill in those same places, and you could also, if you want, put in the names of the provinces. Start with BC, go to Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, and then Labrador, Newfoundland, all the provinces there, Nova Scotia, Nunavut, the territories. If you want, you can color that map in, and then I will be doing another segment of this, which you can listen to next week. Thank you.